Everybody, it's Ms.Salazar and welcome to Science. So for today, we're going to talk about ways that we can use the design process, especially ways that engineers use the design process. So here we have an example. The design process is used to solve problems, and you should remember this. The design process is used to solve problems. When there is a problem, an engineer uses the design process to build a solution to the problem. For example, let's say that this is the problem. You have a person that cannot go to the other house because there's a river in the middle. So here we have a house, we have the person that's right next to the house, and this person wants to go to this house, but there's a river in the middle. If you're an engineer, how do you solve this problem? Well, the engineer will have to follow the steps of the design process to be able to come up with a solution, right? So, following the 5 steps of the design process, the engineer comes up with the idea of building a bridge, and that ends up being the solution. So, the engineer will have to do each step of the design process, and it's going to end up creating a bridge. So the engineer builds a bridge, and that is going to be the solution to this problem. But the engineer can't build a bridge out of thin air. He needs to think about this, he needs to plan it, he needs to have steps when he's going to create it. And that's why he uses the design process to create the bridge. Here you have the 5 steps of the design process. Ask, what is the problem? The second step, imagine, is to brainstorm ideas, choose the best one. This is when you're going to write down all of your ideas, everything that you can think of. How can I solve this problem? And you write down all of your ideas. And then the third step is to plan. You're going to draw your design and make a list of your materials. The fourth step, you're going to create. So you're going to follow your plan. You're actually going to create your plan. In this case, the engineer is going to create the bridge. But first, the engineer had to ask what was the problem. Then the engineer had to make a list of what? Of ideas, everything that he can think of that can solve this problem. How can this person reach the other house if there's a river in the middle? That's the problem. Then the engineer thinks of ideas and he chooses the best one. And then he's going to draw his design and make a list of materials. So let's say that in step 2, he thought about making a bridge. So in step 3, he's going to draw your design. So he's going to draw a bridge, how he wants the bridge to look like. And then he's going to make a list of the materials that he needs in order to build that bridge. And then in step 4, that's when he actually creates the bridge. But he has to test it. He has to see if the bridge actually works. He doesn't want a bridge to crumble. He doesn't want the person to be walking on the bridge and then falling because the bridge wasn't strong enough. He needs to create his design and then test it, see if it works. And then the last step is to improve. So what works? What doesn't? What could be better? In the last step, the engineer would have to think, okay, I made my bridge, it works, but how can I make it better? So the last step is to improve. And you guys have an assessment similar to this example. You're going to take the design process organizer or your notebook. If you don't have this paper, it's totally fine, and you're going to write the steps of the design process. So if you have this page, you're going to write the steps of the design process. You have 5 steps: ask, imagine, plan, create, and improve. If you don't have this page, all you would have to do is take your notebook and just write the 5 steps of the design process, and you're going to leave a space for each step because you're going to write underneath each step, okay? So then write the problem in the first step of the process. And this is your problem. This is what you eventually, have to come up with a solution to solve this. So you're going to write the steps of the design process, and then you're going to write this problem in your first step. The first step is ask. And your problem is this: your best pencil keeps falling to the bottom of your backpack. What can you design to make your pencil easier to find? So you're going to write this problem under number 1, ask. Okay, because this is your problem. And in number 1, which is ask, you're going to write your problem. That's the first step of the design process. So after you wrote the problem in the first step, go to the second step and write down ideas that will help you solve the problem. Remember, imagine is the second step. In the second step, think, how can I find my pencil without looking at the bottom of my backpack? What can I invent that can make it easier for me to find the pencil? And write those ideas down in the second step. You're going to write them down, all of them, all of your ideas. After I am done with the second step, it is time to complete the third step. And this is the third step. It's called plan. In the third step, I have to make my design and write the list of materials I need to create my solution. So, to make my design, I am going to draw it, then I will write the list of materials. So, after you're done writing all of your ideas down, remember you have to choose the best one. When you choose the best one, that means that that's the one you're actually going to create. So you're going to go to step three, you're going to draw your design, and then you're going to make a list of the materials that you need in order to create that design. When I am done with the step three, I will continue to step four. And look over here. Step four is create. In step four, I have to create my design and test it. So when you create your design, make sure it works. So in step four is when you're actually going to create your design. And you guys, yes, you have to create your design. You actually have to do it. If it works, then we can move on to the final step. So you're going to create your design in the fourth step, and what? You're going to test it. And if it works, you're going to write in create, the design works. If it doesn't work, you have to try again and you have to find a way to make it work. Okay? That's what you're going to do. You guys can use the example that we used in the last class. Remember that we used an example about the dog collars, that Kate was walking the dogs and the collars kept like turning, and she couldn't walk her dogs because they kept wrapping around her legs. Remember that we did that? You can use that as an example. Okay? So once you're done with step four, you can move on with step five. And remember, when you create your design, you're going to need obviously your backpack to create it. But when you create your design, don't touch it. Like if it works, leave it the way it is because I want you guys to show it to me in class. In the final step, which is improve, I am going to make my design better. So I am going to look at what I created and I'm going to make improvements if I think it needs to be better, right? I created my design and I look at it. Does it need to be better? Like, do I need to make some improvements? If I think it needs improvements, then I'll make the improvements. When I am done, I will not touch it so I can show it to the teacher in the next lesson. Exactly. So once you're done creating your design, once you figure out how you can make the pencil easier to find, you're not going to touch your design because you're going to show it to me in the next lesson. This is a picture of a way I designed um, my little project. So I used my pencil, obviously, because I'm trying to find a way to make the pencil easier to find. So I'm going to need my pencil and I'm going to need my backpack. But I used a string. Okay, I used a string. So I took the string, I tied it to the pencil, and I tied it to the backpack, to the zipper of the backpack. And that way, when I open up my backpack, the pencil is literally hanging right there next to the zipper. And I don't have to look at the bottom of my backpack to find the pencil because it's right there. That's one way you can do it. This is how I did it. You can do it this way, or if you want, you can figure out another way to do it. But this is my design. Okay. And I want you guys to do your design just like this. And then you're not going to touch it. And in the next lesson, you're going to show it to me. Okay. And remember, it's really important for you guys to write the 5 steps of the design process and to, write the information down, write everything that you did. Write it down, everything. You can use the example of the leashes to guide you. And parents, there's no need to turn anything in. This will be discussed in next class. Okay, everybody, I hoped that you learned something doing this activity, and I will see you in the next lesson, and we can talk about this, and it'll be fun. Let's see what you guys come up with. Bye, everybody.